Hello everyone, welcome to our group presentation. So today our presentation about government spending. As you know that as the parts of the COVID-19 pandemic, so it's result in a lot of kinds of negative consequences, and so it is the reason why the government trying to pass a lot of law to stimulate the economy physically. And our group topic today is the pros and cons of government spending to boost the economy out of the COVID-19 pandemic. So let's move to our group member. So here is our group members.
So to begin with the presentation, we will talk about the pros of the government spending. Moving on the next slide, please. So on this slide, we can see that onto the government spending, which has two significant benefits on the economic aspect. Firstly, it's about creating jobs and reducing unemployment during the COVID-19. So government spending during the COVID-19 really have to save jobs and creating new ones by allocate money to expand the current jobs retention or establish new ones. For example, there is a system in the Australia that permits firms to pay employees only the full-time actually spend at work, while the government cover on other hours, including taxes and contributions. The effort really support nearly 50 million jobs, which is 10 times as many as the figure for in the recession 2008. And secondly, it's about the reduced financial strain on the business. The business for the most business, which account for 50 to the 70% of the private sector in the US or in the EU, and which is really negative impact by the COVID-19. So government did do many things to help them survive during the COVID-19. Moving on the next slide, when we see this gap, we can know that many governments over the world did many things to support the small firms. And Zero, which is a word for the IMF, say that without the support from the governments, the failure rate of the business could increase by as much as 9 percentage points.
We are about to move to the process of government spending on the social aspect. The first one is the public health and safety. You know, government spending has been instrumental in guaranteeing public health and safety during the pandemic. Funds have been allocated toward healthcare infrastructure, including building temporary hospital, acquiring medical equipment, and increasing testing and contact tracing capacity. This has helped in identifying and isolating cases, treating patients, and preventing the spread of the virus, ultimately saving lives and protecting communities. According to the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, global estimate of excess deaths indicate that 18.2 million people have died in light of the pandemic by December 31, 2021. Having observed such an impressive catastrophe, government around the world have catered many funds in light of adding their people. For instance, the Ministry of Citizenship in Brazil is accountable to 123 USD aid to each family, and they are provide a substantial amount of money. These aid help Brazilians to recover and proceed to firmly surmount the plague. Moving to the next slide, please. So preserving employment and preventing mass layoffs have been another critical social benefit of government spending during the pandemic. Governments have implemented programs such as follow schemes, wage subsidies, and job retention initiatives to provide fiscal incentive to employers to retain their workers, thereby mitigating the sharp rise in unemployment rate. For example, the German government implemented the Kurzarbeit program, which subsidized worker wage to deter layoffs during the pandemic, saving an estimated 2.3 million jobs.
Okay, so for the drawbacks of the issues, government now responsible for spending other people's monies. And at Mutual, freshmen have families said nobody spend other people's monies as they spend their own. One of the key causes why government spending doesn't seem to work is bribery. It erodes social comeback and undermines government capacity to assist economy flourish. Corruption was not just an issue before the crisis, but it became significantly more severe during the COVID-19 pandemic. And another point is that budget deficits and government debt have climbed, reaching their greatest level in decades. Maintaining high level of debts make countries more susceptible to interest rate increase and slow down economic growth and increase the risk of debt rollover. And now take a look at the chart. By infusing extra money to cover COVID-related expenses and rising costs in certain regions has occasionally make it more difficult to maintain domestic services. COVID-19 had reduced the decline in demand for several goods and services. Overall, the value of export goods had declined over 17%.
Society is the dependence on government aid. One of the most significant consequences of the issue is the loss of self-esteem and a sense of hopelessness among individuals who are unable to find employment and financial stability. A case in point is the surge in unemployment benefit claims as businesses shut down and lay off. Many people find themselves out of work and in need of financial assistance. This in turn can lead to an increase in mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. Another consequence is a sense of entitlement among individuals. This can make it harder for them to transition to self-sufficiency as they may have come to rely on financial aid instead of seeking new employment or economic opportunities. For example, people who lost their job have found it difficult to find new employment or may have been unwilling to return to their work due to the concern about contracting COVID-19, and as a result, they continue to rely on the government aid. Furthermore, dependence on government aid can also lead to a decline in innovation and entrepreneurship. Individuals who rely too much on government aid may be less willing to take risks and start businesses. They may fear losing their financial assistance, and this can have a negative consequences on the job creation or economic growth in the long term.
So with the pandemic causing a lot of kinds of economic uncertainties and hardship, so the U.S. government spent a lot of money trying to support for businesses, individual and healthcare system. However, you can see that the debts and government spending increased rapidly since the time of the first March 2020. The debts government has exposed worth over $6 trillion accumulated borrowings, and also with the previous year, the sum of previous year is still outstanding. It contributed to the more deficits. So it is one of the largest kinds of legislation. It's called Economic Security Act, legislation for works in art to bail out the economy. So move into the second kind of a thing, that's national debts. As you know, that's federal debts spike on about $31.46 trillion. It nearly hits the statutory kinds of debts limits. And also, when it's compared to the GDP, it's accounted for 134.8% of the GDP. The level is still really kind of higher than the pre-pandemic level. As you can see, that's the graph. And from the data, we can very concise information. These sort of kinds of thing can damage the investors' confidence and also the consumer as well. Moreover, in the long term, the economy have very kinds of significant negative kinds of ramifications can damage to our whole kinds of country, especially for this situation is the US.
Moving to our conclusions, from the economic aspect, government spending during COVID-19 pandemic has had several positive impacts, significantly including job creation, support for businesses, and promotion of economic recovery and growth. These efforts have provided much needed support to individuals, businesses, and communities during challenging times. Nevertheless, excessive government debt from COVID-19 pandemic-related deficits can lead to slow economic growth and limit investment in other initiatives. Rising government debt and money supply can also cause inflation, reduce competitiveness, erode currency values, and hinder economic revival efforts. Moving to the social aspect, during the COVID-19 pandemic, government spending has been critical in ensuring public health and safety, providing economic relief to individuals and businesses, preserving employment, and addressing food poverty. This have saved lives, prevents widespread deprived people, and promotes well-being in vulnerable populations. However, on the other hand, dependence on government aid can lead to a loss of self-esteem and hopelessness to individuals who cannot find employment or financial stability. Moreover, another negative impact is the resentment among taxpayers who feel their money is used to support non-contributors, which causes negative impact on the investor. In conclusion, government spending to boost the economy out of the COVID-19 pandemic had both pros and cons. In our group perspective, we believe that without the pros, the world economies may not overcome the pandemic easily. It can provide much needed economic support, stimulate economic growth, and address societal inequalities. Despite the risks such as the possibilities of the government debt and dependence on the government aid, government spending is a crucial factor for the world economy to surpass the challenging times. And this is the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.